What's going on, everybody? Real quick video. I just was on live not too long ago covering the Warrington Lara rematch. Okay, I got off and I saw a clip of an interview with Teofimo Lopez, basically being asked if he would fight Lomachenko in a rematch. He says no. Okay, we knew that he didn't have any interest in a rematch, but I thought there was a point and period where his dad shaked on the fight or possibility of having a rematch with Lomachenko. And I felt like it was sort of possible, maybe. But I don't know how that works. I don't know what Teofimo is going to do moving forward from here. I know this whole George Kambosos fight has been a mess. This fight was supposed to happen months ago, all right, and it's not happening until October, all right? And Kambosos is one of his mandatory, so he has to fight him, right? So anyway, asked about Lomachenko, said that if he lost to Lomachenko, he wouldn't have had the same opportunity, and that was one of his responses, and it's something that I heard him say. I've heard him make comments about the negotiation and as far as a rematch clause, how he didn't really get one, and he made a few things like he felt like he wasn't being respected by Lomachenko before the fight. This is the thing. They weren't equals before the fight. I don't know why he feels like they were. Lomachenko was the multi-division champion. I think he was champion in 3 divisions. Okay, he was unified. He was going into that fight with Teofimo Lopez holding 3 titles. Teo only held 1. Lomachenko has been pound for pound for at least 2 or 3 years at this point. Wherever you had him, he's been in the top 5 for a long time now. And the accolades, I don't really need to compare. Teo had just won his title against Richard Comey and a knockout win, which was a great knockout win. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the kid, but I'm gonna be real here. They weren't on the same level. Okay. Teo did win the fight. I believe he won the fight. All right. And even I'll take it a step further. If they are gonna rematch each other, if they were to rematch each other, I'll be totally fine with it. But there are other options out there for Teofimo Lopez. My question is, after you fight your mandatory and George Kambosos, a fight that none of us are really asking for, it's not a bad fight. All right, it's a good title defense fight. Absolutely. I'm not taking anything away from George. He's undefeated. He just beat Lee Selby. He's deserving of a title shot. He is the mandatory, and I think he's a legit mandatory and a legit fighter. But I'm not, but at the same time, there are other options out there. Not too many options, but there are other options out there. I see that he wants to fight Josh Taylor. Like, he's talked about Josh Taylor, a possible fight with Josh Taylor between the 2 undisputed champs. Listen, well, semi-undisputed, because it's that WBC conflict, right? The franchise title thing, right? So he's not really undisputed. Even though he isn't. Josh Taylor doesn't seem like he has that same type of interest in fighting Teofimo Lopez. Josh Taylor is looking to move forward up to 147, right? So if that's the case, if that's not an option, that's not an option. Now, there's other fights that make sense. My first fight, the first person that comes to mind is Devin Haney. Now, Devin Haney is a guy that has been wanting to face you for a while now, just like he wants to face Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, other fighters. Devin Haney has shown interest in fighting you. He is holding the full WBC title, not the franchise one, the one that you need in order to become undisputed. I don't know why you wouldn't fight him. You haven't shown much interest in wanting to fight him. Okay, if anybody, you should be fighting him. It's a fight that is doable. It's a fight that can be made. Devin is free to come to ESPN and fight you. All right. I don't know what the problem is with that, but if you're not going to fight Loma, and this is my stance on it, If you're not going to take the rematch with Loma, which is a pretty fair, is a pretty fair rematch. All right, you got to look at it as you gave him, or he gave you the opportunity, because at the end of the day, you're not nearly as accomplished as him. You know, Loma might not have given you the opportunity if he won the fight, but was he supposed to give everybody he had a fight with an opportunity? No, I don't believe he did. You know, was he supposed to give everybody else an opportunity that he fought? No. What sets you apart from everybody else he's beaten in his professional career? Okay. So if he had beaten you in a fight, you know, if he had won that fight, did he need to give you an opportunity? I don't believe so. There would have been more moves to be made. He would have had to eventually defend his title against Devin Haney and fight whoever else was available, whether it was mandatories, yada, yada, yada. He had other obligations, all right? He lost to you. I believe he lost the fight. Some people say it was a draw. You know, some people think it was closer than I did. I think that Teofimo won the fight, okay? I think he legit won the fight, all right? But if anybody deserves a shot and a rematch, it's Lomachenko, because he was the pound-for-pound fighter. He brought 3 belts into that fight. You know, he's the one that had championships, won championship in 3 different divisions. He had the better resume, even at 135 in the short time that he's been there. You know? So I'm not trying to take anything away from Teofimo Lopez, but look, if you're not going to fight Devin Haney for that real title, for that real WBC strap, all right, which I know it's the WBC's fault. That's their fault. But that's something that needs to be fixed. And if you have no interest in fixing that by fighting Devin Haney, and if Josh Taylor is not going to fight you, if he moves up after he fight, Jack Catterall, if he moves up and fight whoever at 147, whether it's Bud or whoever, if he doesn't fight you, if you don't fight Devin Haney, if Tank is not going to fight you, which he probably isn't, because Tank and his camp are more, they're trying to keep things in-house. So I can see the Tank fight. I can see him say, I'm going to go after Tank. It's going to be a big pay-per-view fight. I'm Tank can pull, they can make more money. Listen, if they decided that fight was going to be next, I would be fine with it. They're both young. They're both undefeated. It's a great fight. Tank is coming off a good win for a solid win at 140. So the fight would make sense. Okay? I mean, I wouldn't understand that. But if Tank doesn't fight you, and you don't want to fight Devin, and Josh doesn't want to fight you, there's not many other options left. There's not. I don't see why it's such a big deal. By your only response is, well, he wouldn't have given me the opportunity. I think that's a flawed response, because the guy brought so much more into that fight than you did. I do agree, and I do believe that Teofimo Lopez won the fight. I'm not hating on the guy. I think he's good. I was one of the fans on here that was saying that this was Lomachenko's career most dangerous fight leading up to that fight. It was his most dangerous fight. And even in the rematch, and I know Loma won against Nakatani and looked great against him, looked better than Teo did. That's cool. But I still think even going in a rematch, Loma is still a dangerous fight for Lomachenko. All right? But just saying I won't rematch the guy based on what opportunities were given before the fight, I think that's kind of unfair, and it sounds like a cop-out. Now, you as the winner, I can understand how in your mind you just want to move forward. You won, you want to move forward. I understand that. But the reason why you hold 4 titles is because he gave you the opportunity to do that. He could have always fell back and said, you know what? I'm going to fight Devin Haney first. Settle this WBC thing instead of trying to become undisputed or holding these 4 titles. He could have done anything in the world. He could have ducked you, or made a different choice. He had other options, but he still gave you the opportunity. So just saying like he wouldn't have done it for me, who were you? You're somebody now. I mean, you were somebody then. I'm not trying to say you're not a no one, but there's levels. He brought more to the table for you. You know, Trilla would have never given you that kind of offer if you didn't beat Lomachenko. So I'm giving you your credit, but at the same time, don't forget how you got that opportunity. He gave you the opportunity. He didn't have to agree with your terms. Be happy he gave you the opportunity. Okay? And I think you won the fight, like I've said a few times already. And I think you could probably win again. And we can end all this talk. Maybe you go in there, listen, feeling confident enough. You look good in your next fight. If you look good in your next fight, you might end up knocking him out. I mean, I would like to assume that Lomachenko was going to be a lot more aggressive in the rematch. You know? Plus, it's the shoulder thing with the surgery. I mean, he actually had surgery on his shoulder. All right, so maybe he wasn't 100%. And maybe you're worried about that. Maybe you think that he may be better in a rematch. He might be. Or he might be a little bit too aggressive and you might catch him on a good shot that you didn't land in the first fight. That I'm sure that you were planning on landing. Whatever way is, like, whatever way you look at it, you should give the man the opportunity if you don't have any other options. You have some out there, but they're not likely to happen. And if you're not taking Loma and you're not taking Devin Haney, then who exactly do you want to fight at this point? Who? If you guys rematch and you make it a pay-per-view, I would pay for it. I would have paid for the first one. You dressed the card up pretty good. I would pay for it. It was a good fight. It was a good matchup. I think the rematch would probably be better, whatever the outcome will be. But this whole, like, what are you trying to do? Because I don't think you should be fighting Ryan Garcia above him. And Ryan, I don't think Ryan is he's not even interested in you like that. If Tank is not interested, if Ryan is not interested, if Josh is not interested, and if you don't want to fight Devin Haney for a fight that there's a real reason on why that fight should take place, something is as in stake for that fight, then what are you going to do? What's your excuse here of not fighting Loma and letting it go, like, be behind you? You know, you supposed to have the momentum. You supposed to have the confidence. You won the fight. You feel you won the fight, right? Why not fight him again if the other options are not available? At least there. To be fair, if those options aren't available, if you fight Josh Taylor, at least not me. I'm not going to complain about you fighting Josh Taylor or a Tank Davis or a Devin Haney. I'm not going to complain because I can see why you would fight those guys. There's something in it for you. But if you don't fight those guys, why not fight Lomachenko? All right, so that's my stance on that, man. Video probably was longer than it needed to be, but I just wanted to clear that up. All right, I'll see you on the next one.